You were the one who knew how to read the room before you could read a book. You knew when to go quiet, when to make dinner without being asked, when to comfort your mom before she even said a word. Everyone called you mature for your age. What they didn't know is that maturity was never a choice. It was a job you were given before you were old enough to apply for it. And if you were that child, there's a good chance you still don't know how to stop doing the job. You just do it for different people now.
Here's what that actually was. Not a personality trait, an adaptation. You didn't get praised because you were safe. You got praised because you were needed. Somewhere in your house there was a gap, a parent who couldn't hold things together, an absence, a crisis nobody explained to you. And you were the one who filled it. Not because you chose to, but because you were there and young. And it was easier to become useful than to ask why nobody else was. Give that role a long enough childhood, and it stops being a role. It becomes who you think you are. Psychology has a name for it: parentification.
Before any of that becomes a personality, it starts small, as one moment that works. You go quiet once, and the fight doesn't happen. You fix something once, and nobody's mad at you that night. You say, "I'm fine," once, and the room gets easier to breathe in. Nobody tells you to keep doing that. You just notice this works, and your body files it away. Do that enough times as a kid, and it stops being something you do. It becomes something you are. That's hypervigilance, the same alertness you'd expect from someone trained for danger, except yours came from something much smaller. A tone of voice, a slammed cabinet, the particular silence right before someone starts crying.
That deal didn't expire when you grew up. It just got a better disguise. Now you're the dependable one, the calm one in a crisis, the one who doesn't need much and never drops the ball. People call it strength. Your boss calls it a work ethic. Your friends call it being easy to be around. Here's the part nobody says out loud. You didn't build that identity by being strong. You built it by never letting anyone see what it cost you. Someone says, "I don't know what I'd do without you," and it feels like a compliment. But some quiet part of you hears something else. Good. Stay useful, and you get to stay wanted. So you keep going. The competence isn't just a trait anymore. It's a hiding place. And it's a good one, because nobody thinks to check on the person who never seems to need checking on.
This is where it gets expensive. You rewrite the text 3 times before sending it. Soften it, add "no worries" if not. Apologize for a favor before anyone's even said no. A need still reads as danger somewhere in you. You don't just help people. You scan them. You clock the shift in someone's voice before they've said a word, and you're already rearranging yourself around it. And here's the one that actually hurts. You've started to wonder if people love you or just love how easy you make things. Being needed feels safer than being known. Known means someone might see what you actually need, and you were never fully sure that was allowed. Rest doesn't feel like rest. It feels like a bill that's going to come due later. And underneath all of it, you carry moods that were never yours to carry. Someone you love has a bad day, and some part of you feels like you failed at your job, even though their feelings were never yours to manage in the first place. You've spent your whole life being excellent at taking care of everyone. And somewhere in the middle of all that competence, you became strangely invisible, even to the people who lean on you most.
Here's the mechanism underneath everything you just recognized. It's called attachment reversal. The child stops being cared for and starts doing the caretaking. That part you already knew. Here's what you didn't know. Your body never learned the difference between "this house needed me" and "I am, at my core, someone whose job is to be needed." It only ever got to test the second one, so that's the one it built you around. That's why none of this feels like something that happened to you. It feels like just who you are. It was never your personality. It was a role, one that outlived the reason it was given to you.
That's why no one clocked it. Maybe not even you. Because this wound doesn't create chaos. It creates a person who's incredibly functional, a person everyone trusts, a person who never drops the ball. And here's the part that actually stings. Nobody checks on the strong one. Your suffering stayed invisible precisely because you got so good at functioning through it. People assumed you were fine because fine was the only thing you ever let them see. You became impressive and unseen at the exact same time. And you learned to collapse only when there was no one around to witness it.
So what actually changes this? Start by separating care from responsibility. Say it plainly, even just to yourself. I can care about you without carrying you. It'll feel wrong the first few times. That's not a sign you're doing it wrong. That's just the old alarm going off for a threat that isn't there anymore. Practice asking for one small thing and stop there. No explaining, no cushioning, no only if it's easy for you. Just the ask. It'll feel exposed. Let it be exposed anyway. When someone you love is upset, practice the pause before the fix. One breath before you step in. That pause is where you start telling the difference between their feelings and your job. And let stillness be boring sometimes. Not earned, not followed by guilt. Just still. Your body was trained to treat rest as negligence. It was wrong about that. It just never had a reason to find out. That kid from the very beginning, the one who read the room before they could read a book, never got told any of this. They just learned that being needed was the safest thing available. You didn't grow up too fast because something was wrong with you. You grew up too fast because your family needed a stability your nervous system was never built to provide. And you gave it to them anyway. That kid can put it down now.